Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is Daybreak in case you're just joining us. Welcome for the State of the Nation this Thursday. And I'm having a sit down with Senator Hilary Sigei, the Senator for Bomet County. Asante for creating time. We have with us Diana Gishengo, the Executive Director, the Institute for Social Accountability, also known as TISA. Asante. And Senator Dan Manzo from Makueni County. Thank you for creating time. Let's assess the state of the nation. And I know we have a lot to talk about, including even what is happening on the political terrain, but just quickly looking at what the front pages have this particular morning, I'm drawn onto a story on the Daily Nation that it's a story that has been developing that has raised mixed reactions in the country with regards to the Indian conglomerate Adani Group. And of course, the latest emerging now is that court demands proof of termination. We know that during the State of the Nation address, one of the key highlights of what President William Ruto said was the cancellation of the Adani deals, one that was already on course, that is the Ketraco Adani deal, and one that was still on the pipeline, the one that involves the leasing of JKIA. So what is emerging right now, gentlemen and lady, is the fact that a team of petitioners led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the lawyer leading the petitioners, want evidence. It's not enough to say that the deals have been cancelled. We want evidence that, actually this has been done. I'll just read something that, quoting verbatim, he say, we will treat the statement as strange until there is evidence to support the same. By statement here is referring to what directive President William Ruto said. I'll begin with you, Senator Manzo, from where you sit. I mean, was the directive by the president just saying, let's cancel the Adani deal? Before we even get to what happened before that directive came, was that, directive just saying it enough, or what will, have to follow for us to really know that due process has been followed with regards to this cancellation of the deal?
Yes, first of all, there has to be procurement in the country, and this was a private, government, private entrepreneur getting into partnership with the government. And there are quite a number of laws there which conflict and which were not followed. So as soon as Adani was indicted in New York, the president that afternoon also terminated this deal. And we had already gone to court in this matter, led by Tony Gashoka, who had done a very thorough research. And I'm surprised the government did not do due diligence on Adani. I have been on media before, and I said this was an international criminal who had come to do business with us. He's been in a number of countries, and none of those deals have gone right. So the court yesterday, just having a statement made in Parliament, the same documentation should get into the courts. And the Attorney General was represented yesterday. The Attorney General was, had asked more time to make replies into the petition. And still yesterday, more time has been given for the Attorney General to avail this particular document into court. The bigger fear is not about Adani being removed. It's about Adani is removed out of this deal, and another private investor, another criminal is brought on board. So there has to be, a proper method of acquiring these transactions, getting them on board by following the law. There must be an advertisement, and everybody should be invited to participate, and including local companies, so that we can see who can best do this. And I think also what's happening with the airport is that there are only few errors here and there, like we saw the leaky roofs. I'm sure those can be fixed locally. We just need another runway. A runway is simply a road. So do you need really somebody to come from India to come and make a road for us in Nairobi?
It could be done locally by
it can also be done locally by local experts. And this is part of the quarrels between former Deputy President Gachagua and President William Ruto on some of these things, I believe, when he tried to advise him on them. So we have enough capacity locally here. What is happening is these deals include a lot of bribery. They include a lot of some percentage which is paid to the brokers, and some of the merchants trading with the government were part of this. That's why Adani was very bitter in some of these things we saw in social media about some of his money which had been taken away, and he was demanding either action or the money is returned to him. And I think he's a very bitter businessman. So some of these fellows who have stolen from Adani here in Kenya, they better watch out as they travel around the world. He's a very bitter man.
He's a bitter man. Talking about wherever he is, he's a bitter man. Be careful if you took money from him. That's what Manzo is saying. But I'm really concerned about, just that statement you have made, because we are here calling for clean processes and due process to be followed in procurement. But then again, looks like you're suggesting we don't come on that table with clean hands. So we cannot really hold accountable anybody because of the kickbacks and whatever backroom, arrangements that took place in some of these processes. And I'd like also, Senator, for you to weigh in on this particular matter. We've made a lot of noise about the deal and other things that have happened in the country before. But I don't know what your sentiments will be with regards to how we found ourselves in this state.
Thank you. Let me start first of all by, I just wanted to laugh off the fact that my colleague Senator Manzo, who is a seasoned lawyer, my senior in the profession as a lawyer, and equally in Parliament as a legislator, he knows very well that some of the statements that he has made are just for purposes of hyping that which is not there. For instance, he's made reference to the fact that this was one of the disputes allegedly between the president and the deputy president. And he knows very well that the former deputy president admitted not only once, I think 3 times, on national media stations that he was not privy to the details of Adani, only for him after the impeachment. After the impeachment, that's when he said. We shared clips across, because I think actually it's the team of your colleagues at Cheng who shared his utterances on 2 or 3 occasions where he's saying, on a question, he said, look, I've got no idea about these things. I'm not going to comment. So anyway, that's why I'm saying
that I wanted to laugh off. That was when he was still the DP?
Yes.
And what about after?
After he exited, he's now saying it's one of the things that I had advised the president about it. Yet he initially denied his knowledge. He said that I haven't been involved. I do not know the details. I do not want to comment where I don't have
That was when he was DP.
That was when he was in office.
After he was DP,
after he left office,
advised the president.
Yes.
So Manzo could be right that is one of the...
No. He's conveniently saying that because he knows it will hype the conversation to the direction that he wants. But that is not a big deal here. The issue is the presidential address directive during the State of the Nation address did indeed expressly say that we are going to cancel the Adani deals at JKIA and also with Ketraco. And that was an express directive by the president. Manzo, my colleague Senator Manzo, is one of the lawyers involved in the matters before the court. And I'm not sure whether he was in court yesterday. He was in court, yes. Part of the directives that the judge said was that, look, I have been made aware, because judges also live in Kenya. They don't drop like manna in the morning when they are going to court. They are aware of such directives like what was done by the president during the State of the Nation address. And Justice Mamuye said that, look, you have made reference to a presidential directive. I need a formal communication. In this case includes what now the judge directed. We need evidence that this particular engagement has indeed been formally cancelled. And part of what the lawyer said, I'm not one of the lawyers involved in the matter though, but I am aware that wherever such directives are given, just like any other client, as a lawyer, your client needs to formally communicate to you, give you directions on what to notify the court on. And that is what the lawyers were asking. Give us more time to bring in formal directives on the cancellation, because you cannot cancel it just on the basis of the presidential directive. You must formalize so that you have the formal steps of exiting Remember, we've got several parties. We've had the JKIA, we had the Adani, we have got the consultants, we've got the lawyers, and so many other players who now must formally sit down and say, we now need to implement this directive. But as a matter of fact, and I can confirm that that is not going to be an engagement that will continue, because the president was black and white in his directive that Adani needs to be cancelled. And the directions given by the judge, I'm very sure by the time we go back to court on the 29th of January 2025, all the formalities will have been done, and we will formally exit from this Adani deal. But most importantly, which is something that my colleague is formally avoiding to say, is the fact that we need to redo our airport. JKIA was built in 1978. As you enter Kenya, the first point of entry to Kenya is the national airport. It's actually the international airport. Nowhere else. The image of Kenya is carried at JKIA. You have seen not only the leaking roofs, which have, by the way, have been repaired, the queues that we go through when we enter JKIA, it is not one of those experiences you would want to have, whether you are coming in as a business person, whether you are coming in as a tourist, or even when you are coming back, having gone out there. It is the entry point to Kenya, it is the image of Kenya, and we have agreed in unison, including my colleagues in Etamanzo, that we need to improve that which was built in 1978 to be a state-of-the-art. We are the region's hub. We should be seen as we enter Kenya that indeed JKIA is a reflection of the regional hub that is Kenya, that is Nairobi, that is a place where very many people say we should be, be above where we are.
Which is a given, Senator. The question is who should do it and how best do we select that person to do it. Then I'd like also for you to weigh in on this matter. We are at a stage where the deal has been cancelled, and they are making us aware that processes still have to go on before we fully exit from that particular agreement with the Adani Group. But many have questioned the timing that this directive came. President William Ruto announced the cancellation of the Adani deals just days after that billionaire Gautam Adani and 7 others were indicted in the US over bribery and fraud claims. Before this happened, there's been noise about the Adani deal. Then we get that big news from the US, then the president cancels the Adani deal. Yeah. Okay, fine. Many say that was a step in the right direction, but the timing, was he bowing under pressure?
Did he bow, really? First, I don't know. First, it was, whereas Parliament lauded the President with a standing ovation, it was truly a day of shame for this country. That it had to take a foreign investigation, whereas there was a lot of information from Kenyans, from elected representatives, that the Adani company is problematic, is controversial. It has not only been indicted in the United States of America, in other countries, including India, there have been protests. And Kenyans found a lot of solidarity in Indians. We ignore that completely. Most importantly, that particular deal was shrouded in opaqueness throughout the process. We all agree we could do with a better runway. Our own journalists, including Larry, have highlighted all the problems that we face with JKIA. Of course, some of us, we even pray that the escalators will work. It has its share of problems. But let's remember, Kenya Airports Authority is one of the profit-making parastatals. Therefore, all we needed was a clear investment plan, not one that takes away, but one that builds on. It is clearly something that has had a lot of interest. Now, Senator Manzo and other Kenyans went to court to ensure that there is cancellation. The members of Parliament who stood up, what are they doing to Kenyans on their oversight role when the president says 2 hours after his cabinet secretary came and defended the same deal and says it will continue. Where is their oversight role? Did they just clap? Why didn't they follow up? How has this been cancelled? If the president comes and 2 hours before a committee was interrogating a cabinet secretary, the right thing for the strongest oversight institution is to hold the president to account. Give us the evidence of cancellation, timelines. Otherwise, we still have to go back to court. We will be in court because Apiero Limited, which is running our SHA, has not been cancelled, and it is also linked to Adani. Yet somebody tries to confuse us by registering 3 other companies so that we do not trace beneficial ownership. What does that say about our government commitment to accountability and anti-corruption? It is all mere lip service. I don't even know how it made it to the State of the Nation address when clearly no actions were, there was no intention to act on them. So that is why people have to run to court. But I'm hoping Parliament will continue. Senate had started questioning Adani. Now the Cabinet Secretary will have a change of mind because the President has made a public declaration of cancellation.
I wonder where that leaves him, though, because that about turn for me was quite interesting. You know, being a Cabinet Secretary, you'd expect that you defend government agenda, and then the very same day, your boss comes and says something, you know, to the contrary. I wonder where that leaves him now. Will he come back with another narrative of saying we were wrong, or what should we be expecting?
And it also causes us to question what happens within cabinet. Because 2 hours apart was a critical intelligence gathering mission formulated just before the president appeared. Surely cabinet secretary should also not be embarrassed in this way.
All right.
Yeah, we ought to see cabinet as a united front.
Thank you. I just wanted to weigh into that statement that Dana is saying. As a cabinet secretary, for example, you are aware of what we call, how do I put it? We are a government, so I don't speak my own, Diana speaks her own, Manzo speaks his own. It is a team of support base to the government. To the extent that there was a statement made by the CS in the morning and later during the State of the Nation address, the President counsels this thing. It's not a big deal in the context of the direction that we were taking.
It's not a big deal?
It's not a very good statement when Diana says it was a day of shame when Honorable Manzo, together with his colleagues in the National Assembly and the Senate, gave the president
I did not attend.
Ovation.
I did not attend.
Process of appreciating the fact that he had taken action on it.
I didn't attend.
Remember,
was that action or a populist statement?
This is something that every Kenyan had talked about, and for the president to take the bold step. In his statement, which is one of the things I'm proud of, I believe should be paragraph 4 or 5 of his statement, when he said, listening to him and to many other leaders should be a full-time occupation. Listen to the Kenyans, listen to the issues, but as a president, as a leader who is leading the rest, you can't just do it for the sake of doing it. It was not a populist statement. It was a statement intended with the need to make sure that we have listened to the views of Kenyans. We've also done our part of an inquiry. Remember, there was a matter pending in court. If we were to say that whenever I say something is wrong and the next thing I hit the headline saying, look, I've cancelled merely because Senator Manzo has said this, we will not progress as a nation, we will not progress as a leadership. So it wasn't. It was something that had to be done on the basis of information that, as at that time, the president had received, had been briefed on, and advice given that that was the right thing to do, and indeed he did the right thing, and everyone else Though we are saying it
All
was
right.
a shame, everyone celebrated the fact that the Adani deal had been cancelled. And Kenyans had been.
As we go on break, I'll allow you to wind this up for us. 30 seconds just to give us your way forward on what evidence looks like, what will really, what tangible evidence will really look like that you're seeking to ensure that we fully exit, as you give us your closing remarks on this matter.
First of all, the Attorney General must present a document from the President which terminates this particular deal, other than the speech read in Parliament. And the so-called standing ovation was only in Parliament, which has been captured. Members of Parliament no longer represent Kenyans in that house. I am sure all Kenyans in the country.
Yes, what are you saying?
They no longer represent
sorry to interrupt my colleague.
I don't know.
They represent the executive.
If we have representatives in that august house.
Very few represent Kenyans.
Oh my goodness.
Very few.
Senator
Most of them
Manzo.
represent and the vote as the executive directs. I want to say that Deputy President Gachagua has just been accused of releasing government information or failing, is it called, some responsibility he was supposed to take. When they discussed things in cabinet, he would disagree. And he was accused of failing.
You don't sit in cabinet.
To protect.
You cannot say that he was.
So we are wondering what cabinet is this, which is giving this minister say this other minister, and the president is speaking. The government should speak in one voice.
We are taking a break. We'll come back with this heated discussion right after this particular break. We are looking at the state of the nation this morning, and we'd like you to weigh in on what concerns you as a Kenyan, wherever you're watching us from, and anything that we are saying here that you feel you have something to input. At Citizen TV Kenya at Safin_Ching is where you can engage us. For now, allow us to take a very short break. Looks like we have a lot to talk about even during this break.